to sort of depart now, and you take over. What are your thoughts on that?
But I didn't see the programme, and I suppose from an outside point of view, then you know, that's a statement that it's quite easy to make. You know, from my point of view, personally, Scott is here till the end of the season, and he still continues to be an influence. You know, and a positive influence on the environment. So, and I'm pretty sure that Scott will want to make the best use of the time he's got left to leave, or to further his legacy that he's leaving here, and do the best we can this season. So, yeah, I understand. Jonathan, it was, is it?
Yeah.
I understand what he's saying, which is, you know, if John was leaving, that's it. But I think John will probably feel there's still a bit of work to do yet.
Is it tough though when someone has declared that they're leaving sort of next year, halfway through the season? Does that affect the squad in terms of morale and so on, Sean?
I think it has. I think it will have had. You know, when the period of the announcement, you know, came in line with things like the salary cap announcement. So there was a bit of a period there, you know, and coinciding with over Christmas. So, but you know, the mourning has been done. You know, the understanding is over with, and you know, we've talked all now over this last week or two about moving on and finishing the rest of the season strongly. You know, we realise we're employed to do a job, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability. And again, I think Scott will want to play a big part in that. So yeah, that's the way we're looking really. He's trying to look forward for the rest of the season.
Jonathan also said that the Ospreys had stagnated over the past year or so, and was disappointed in terms of, he was disappointed in terms of patterns of play and so on. Is that a valid argument?
Look, we haven't played as well as we could have, that's for sure. I think, again, he's entitled to his opinion, and we haven't scored as many tries as we normally would. Whether that's to do with the pattern of play, or just us not executing some skills at times, or being a bit sloppy, or the influence of the opposition, who seem to be getting stronger all around us as well, is a factor. You know, they're things we're trying to work through. I think we always knew this season it was going to be difficult with it being a World Cup season. The ins and outs that we've had to deal with, it's not an excuse, but it is a factor in your season. And I think, you know, throughout the World Cup, we were getting a lot of plaudits for the way we were playing, and even though we weren't scoring a lot of tries there, we were getting wins, and the young players were playing a good style of rugby now, with chopping and changing and injuries and things that, you know, that you can get disrupted a little bit. And of course, you lose a couple of games, you get tipped a little bit, and you tighten up a bit, and there's a bit of anxiety around the place, and we've seen that a little bit over Christmas in the tough games we've had. But yeah, it's probably we're probably not quite where we would want to be. But having said that, in a World Cup year, we're sitting second in the Pro 12, and we probably would have settled for that, you know, at the start of the season in terms of the position. What we're looking to do now is improve in those areas, you know, try and consolidate our top two position, and by playing a little bit better and finishing off things a little bit better, and we're working hard to do that now.
Hypothetically, if you won the Pro 12 and it was early, but go out at the group stages like last year at the Heineken, is that deemed as underachieving for you in terms of the region?
Oh look, we're desperate to win silverware, as every year. That European silverware is very, very hard to get. You know, we're finding it quite elusive, and there are small margins, as we saw in Wembley and at home in Saracens, and you know, that's disappointing. But as I keep saying, there's going to be a lot of good sides that are better placed than us in terms of finance and facility that won't win the Heineken Cup this year. So, you know, we can still strive for that. We've still got something to play for. We believe in Europe. We're going to try and finish as strongly as we can, and see what happens at the outcome. And you know, yeah, it is elusive for us, and it's disappointing. But then the Pro 12 is your bread and butter, and it becomes not so much a consolation, but a refocus for the season, as we've seen in the last couple of years with us.
One of the arguments for Scott leaving now, Sean, the fact that you and Jonathan have a chance to, you know, see the rest of the season through and sort of put your marker down for roles later in the future. Is that, you know, is that something that would interest you?
Well, knowing now that Scott is going, not so much him leaving, but assuming some responsibility, it clearly would be, because Jonathan and I have been here a long time, and you know, we care deeply about the place and want to succeed, want the region to succeed. So there is that, you know, there is a large group of players here, what with the 3 competitions we play in and the internationals to manage. So we definitely need another voice there. So, you know, we do need all hands on deck. And John has been really good in giving up some responsibility and nurturing our coach development, and that's probably the main reason he was brought in. You know, he is seen on the field and he does drive big aspects of our game, but I'm sure now he'll want to see out the rest of the season and offer us perhaps a little bit more responsibility rather than up sticks and go in early doors. You know, I think he'd probably want to oversee that rather than just leave it to us for the sort of duration that is left.
How close is Arnold Bergson to a regular starting spot after Friday's display?
He's close. He's, you know, obviously he played a lot through the World Cup, and he's pushing the likes of Tommy and Shane all the way. You know, they're certainly feeling the heat from them. Their form hasn't been outstanding in the last couple of weeks. So, you know, Hannah needed to take a chance there, not just that one, but coming off the bench in the Scarlets, he's done some good things. You know, he's made some line errors there and then some missed tackles as well. So, you know, he's still learning, still developing. But we see lots of positives in Hano's game. He's a tough, strong runner. He can put big tackles in, and he's a very dangerous guy with the ball. So he's close, Mark. Yeah, you know, you'll see him now throughout the rest of the Pro 12 and the LB Cup. He'll get his opportunities, and he's still young, but his graph is very steep. You know, we've got a lot of promise for him, and Eli, to be fair, who again got some good exposure there on the weekend.
How is he in Evans?
Better. He's trained this morning, guys. That's good news. He had a bump on the hip, couldn't really play on. It was hindering him. Didn't seem right to just carry on with him carrying it. So with JT there on the bench, but he's trained this morning. Seems to have come through. So that's a positive sign for Friday.
Anyone else pick up injuries on training?
We've got a couple of dead legs. So they've been off their feet this morning. Joe Beerman and Hugh Bennett. Although Hugh did run some today. Andrew Bishop's neck is much better after a week off, and we've still got slight issues over Tommy's hamstring, but Shane is fully recovered. He's back in training. Who else? Now the rest are just precautionary after playing either in the Premiership or in that game. So, you know, we're not too bad. We've got a couple of sightings this week that you know, could hinder us, but we have to keep an eye on that now. Next couple of days. George Stowers and Jonathan Thomas.
Tackles or?
George's tackle and Jonathan's, I forget how it was termed, but should we say apparent indiscretion at the ruck.
What about Alan Jones? Anything more concrete on there?
No, nothing more concrete other than, like I said last time, it's positive in terms he's out of his boot, he's wearing his orthotics, and reckons he's going to have the strongest toe in World Rugby, strongest big toe in World Rugby. But his spirits are up. That's a positive with Alan Wynne. His spirits are up. He's around the camp. He's in meetings. He's positive. So, and the other positive is Richard Fussell's out of his boot and on the mend and should be running the early part of next week. So, yeah, hallelujah.
I know you're considered more with the Ospreys, but would you expect to see Alan Wynne in the Welsh jersey in the Six Nations?
It's a long old Six Nations, isn't it? So I hope there's a chance for him. I really do. I don't think he'll start it. From what the medics tell me, he certainly won't start the campaign, but if he can carry on the way he's going and get on the field, you know, certainly, you know, a guy of his experience and calibre won't take him long, many minutes under his belt or training time to get up to speed. So let's hope so.
Staying on that theme, Sean, is Ashley Beck knocking on the door in terms of Welsh honours?
I think he's got to be knocking on the door. You know, I think he's playing regularly as 12 for one of the 4 regions, and he's probably one of the form 12s, I'd say. He's, you know, my history with Ashley, I've been saying it for years with him, there was always that promise, and at last we've seen some consistency and confidence in his game. He's making breaks, again, a couple of defensive lapses, but he made up for them. He made some good turnover tackles into touch and scrambled back. You know, his ability to cut the line is good. He has a kicking game. You know, he's a big stamp of a man with a bit of acceleration, a lovely touch and offload. So he's got all the attributes. You know, it's just that confidence in his own ability that has been needed and regular game time, and that seems to be coming. So, I think he's putting himself in the picture here.
Ryan Jones starting superb form for you guys. Can you do that job for Wales as well in the second row with all the problems they've got there?
Yeah, I think he's already done it, isn't he? You know, we see Ryan as added value by being able to moving up to 4. He gives us the same sort of game: ball carry, tackle, contest work, defence, aerial skills. He gives us all that at 4, so it's added value for you. It's nice to have that versatility, and you know, he still, as he's shown just a few weeks ago, that he's able to play at 6 with great effect as well. You know, so you know, he's going along really well. He had a bit of a blip. He had an illness against the Scarlets, which took his toll. But yeah, you know, he's coming back to his best, and I think he's a real valuable member of any squad.
What are you doing at 10 this week? Have you made a decision yet, and how close is it going to be?
We're close to a decision. I think Matthew's got some real good exposure there in these 2 games. I think in Welsh derbies, as we showed with Daniel and James when he was coming through, that to give them that exposure in those derbies is really good for their development. It does give them a taste, an appetite, a feeling for what it's like in those attritional games. And I think Matthew's done really well, really well. I mean, Daniel's got good pedigree with us. He's a good stalwart for us already, even as a young man. And it's going to be a difficult decision to make, but they'll be made in the best interest of the team, and also with a view to all of the fixtures we've got up now, particularly through the Six Nations, if Daniel doesn't get into that squad or does. So, you know, they both will get sufficient game time in the next 2 weeks, but we haven't quite made the call yet.
Having lost the 2 against Saracen, Sean, how do you assess now the 2 games remaining in terms of the group, the makeup, and sort of going forward?
Well, you know, I think we're all still smart in that of the, not so much the away game. We give them a head start with the home game. You know, we always pride ourselves on that. We had a great record there going, but we can't dwell on that now. We just got to look at the next 2 games. We've talked about just getting as much as we can out of those 2 games, making a good account of ourselves, and at least putting us in a position should, you know, the other permutations work out. And if they don't, at least be in the best position to achieve an Amlin place, which could be on the cards. So there's still plenty to play for there. Pride is obviously the one at the bottom line of it, and their reputations are at stake in Europe, and we want to try and get as many, you know, ranking points as we can, because, you know, the draw is important moving forward in this competition now. So yeah, we've laid it pretty much on the line with each other this week, and you're going to see a real focused effort this week.
Is anything other than 5 points acceptable?
Look, the width of a post can sometimes determine things, and a knock on here and there. You know, we'd be looking for a real performance and a home performance that usually brings about a win. You know, we need to build that first, Hamish, and then, without being silly, build what we can from there. You know, it's easy to throw away statements and say we're going to score bonus points. You're going to look at our tries for column this year already to suggest that you can't just make those statements at the moment. We've got to build on it, and you know, and hopefully, you know, we've got enough territory in possession and impose ourselves enough to get over the line enough times.